Okay, hello. All right, so for today's lesson, we are going to be learning about multiplying and dividing positive and negative fractions. It may sound scary. I know you guys usually hate fractions, but trust me when I tell you this is very easy. I believe you guys did learn how to multiply and divide fractions last year. So this year we're going to do that, but we're also going to focus on what happens when those numbers are negative. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to get started. You guys should be taking notes along with me. Go ahead and pause whenever you'd like if I'm going too fast. So just make sure you are following along and you are writing these down in your notebook. So when multiplying, we're start multiplying, then we're going to do dividing. When multiplying positive and negative fractions. What we're going to do is we are going to multiply the fractions straight across. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to follow the integer rules for multiplication and division. And then the third thing we're going to do, always, we're going to simplify when possible. So here, let's look at example one. Example one, start off simple, 1/2 times 3/4. Remember, when there is nothing, well, these arrows are going, I'm going to go ahead and erase those arrows. But when there is nothing in between a parentheses and a number, remember that means to multiply. There is nothing here, so that means to multiply. So we are multiplying two fractions, and we multiply these fractions straight across. 1 times 3. Well, 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 4 is 8. Both of our numbers are 1/2 and our 3/4, so they're both positive. So our answer is going to remain positive. And then ask yourself, can you simplify 3/8? The answer to that is no. There's nothing that goes into 3 and 8. Our answer stays 3/8 for example 1. Example 2 right below it. If you want to pause the video and try and solve it yourself, you can. If you want to work along with me, it's more than welcome. So once again, we don't have anything here in the middle, so that means to multiply. And we multiply straight across when we multiply fractions. 5 times 3 is 15, so that's our numerator. Numerator times the numerator, denominator times the denominator. 8 times 5 is 40. 15 over 40. Before I move on, I want to look and see, do I have any negative numbers? Yes, I do. This 5/8 is negative. Not just the 5, but the whole thing. It's 5/8, it's a negative number. So what happens when we have a negative times a positive? Well, that means when we multiply, if we multiply a negative times a positive, our answer is always going to be negative. So our answer is negative 15 over 40. But we're not through yet. This number can be simplified. So what number goes into 15 and 40? 5 does. 5 goes into 15 3 times. We're still going to bring our negative sign over. And 5 goes into 40 8 times. So our answer is negative 3/8. Negative 3/8. One more example for multiplication. We have negative 5/6 times negative 2/3. So I'm not going to solve yet, but instead what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to think about what the answer is. Is our answer going to be positive or is our answer going to be negative? You should be able to solve this without doing any work. You should be able to answer this question without doing any work. Is our answer positive or negative? Is a negative number times a negative number. Anytime we have a negative times a negative, the answer is going to be positive. So that's something you should already be thinking about as you come across these questions. But first we multiply straight across. This is a multiplication problem. There's no sign in the middle. 5 times 2 is 10. And 6 times 3 is 18. And like we've already said before, a negative times a negative is actually positive. 10 over 18, ask yourself, step number 3, simplify when possible. Can this be simplified? Yes, it can. 2 goes into both of these numbers. 2 goes into 10 5 times, and 2 goes into 18 9 times. Our answer is going to be 5/9. And that is multiplying fractions in a nutshell for you. We're going to go ahead and move on to division of fractions. A lot more words. Don't be scared. Division of fractions is just as easy, except there's one extra step, and that one extra step is very easy, and that's going to be step 1. When you divide positive and negative fractions, the first thing you have to do is keep, change, flip. Notice the K, the C, and the F, those are in red, because that's the acronym we're going to use, KCF. Keep, change, flip. So the first thing we want to do is keep the first fraction the same. Don't touch it, don't change it, leave it the same. Next thing we do is change. We change the division sign to a multiplication sign. It's that simple, just change it. And the third thing, which most people forget to do the most, it's not hard, just try and remember to do it, is flip the second fraction. So the numerator becomes the denominator, and the denominator becomes the numerator. And then it's the same as multiplication. Multiply fractions straight across, make sure to follow your integer rules, and then simplify if necessary. So let's do the first example together. I went ahead and wrote KCF up top to remind you to keep, change, flip. So when we keep the first fraction, we're not going to touch it. We keep 1/2 the same. Stays the same. Change, C, change. So we change the division sign to a multiplication sign. Just change it. And flip, we flip 3/4. The bottom number now becomes the top number, and the top number now goes on the bottom. Keep, change, flip. And now it's a multiplication problem. Solve it the exact same way we do. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Do we have any negatives that we have to worry about? No, we don't. But 4/6 can be simplified to 2/3. And that should be your final answer. Example 2, you can go ahead and pause the video right now if you want and try and work it out on your own, or you can continue to work with me. So remember, for fractions, we always want to keep, change, and flip. So what we're going to do is we are going to keep the first fraction the same, -5/6. Don't forget about that negative. We change division to multiplication, and we flip 1/3 to 3/1. So what we have is a multiplication problem. 5 times 3 is 15, and 6 times 1 is 6. Now, don't forget about this negative that we had over here. Anytime we multiply a negative and a positive number, our answer is going to be negative. So I'm going to bring that -15/16 down here. Oh, not -15/16, -15/6. And this should look funny to you. Not exactly the negative sign, but what type of fraction this is. And you should know from last year and the year before that this is an improper fraction. Your numerator should not be bigger than your denominator. So we have to take this fraction and turn it into a mixed number. So how we do that is what I say in class is top in, bottom out. Put the numerator or the top number inside of the division house. and the bottom number, or the denominator, outside the house. Top in, bottom out. And now this is a division problem. So 6, does 6 go into 15? Yes, it does. It goes in 2 times. 2 times 6 is 12. And 15 minus 12 is 3. So my final answer is going to be negative 2 is my whole number. My denominator never changes. And this 3 is my numerator. Negative 2 and 3, 6. Which can be simplified again to negative 2 and 1/2. Both of these answers are the same, but one is simplified. One more example problem. If you want to go ahead and try this one on your own, you can. I recommend pausing the video, or you can continue to work with me. Negative 7/10 divided by negative 2/3. We want to, since it's division, KCF. So we keep the first fraction. Change division to multiplication. And we flip negative 2/3 to negative 3/2. And now this is a multiplication problem. Multiply straight across. 7 times 3 is 21. And 10 times 2 is 20. Now we have negatives. Think about it. What happens when you multiply a negative times a negative? Same signs. So your answer is going to be positive. Same signs positive. They're both negative. They both have the same sign. So our answer is positive. So we have 21/20. But just like last problem, this is an improper fraction. So we must do top in, bottom out. Top number goes in the division house, bottom number on the outside. Some of y'all will be able to do this in your head. If you can't, top in, bottom out is a great way to do it. 20 goes into 21 one whole time, so that's my whole number. And 21 minus 20 gives me a remainder of 1. So my answer is going to be my whole number, 1. My remainder is my numerator, and 1 over, and my denominator is always the same, never changes, or it's the number on the outside of the house, 1 and 1/20. This is going to be the end of division and multiplication of positive and negative fractions. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email any of the math teachers or set up a tutoring time. Have a good day.